Today we're going to build this tapered planter. This is probably the easiest tapered planter you're ever going to be able to build. It uses about 12 feet of deck board. Now this was designed with the idea of leftover pieces of deck board, either from building planters or from building decks. Rather than getting rid of the leftovers, you just turn them into something like this and you can sell this. I sell these for $60 and typically they cost nothing because, like I said, it's all leftover wood. And you're going to see in this example here, I didn't have small pieces of wood, but I had one deck board that's absolutely horrible looking and really twisted. So when you cut it up into pieces, then you can make the twist kind of go away. And you'll see it in a moment. So that's what we're going to do today. And we'll walk you through the process. After we're done, I will explain how I made this ugly board look like this, because this is the same board. All right, now let's get to it. All right, so I am using this twisted piece of deck board that I have no idea how I was dumb enough to get this one. The knot, and it's got wormholes in it, so I'm going to use it up on this just as a demonstration to show you. Anyway, you can look and see how twisted it is. And when you got a twisted board, if you can cut it up into small pieces, then you can actually use it. I can't think of what else I could possibly use this board for. I'm going to start off by cutting it at 7 degrees. All these cuts are at 7 degrees, of course. Okay, and then we're going to flip the board. All right, so I'm going to line up the blade now. Okay. And then I'm going to put in a stop block. And then I'm going to make 4 cuts. Okay, and before you make all the cuts, just make sure that they line up nicely. This is why you don't take the riving knife out of your table saw, because that would have kicked back at me. See where the other one is, and then I'm going to drill beside it. Okay, here we are with the finished product. And what did I do to make that horrible board look like this? Well, as you saw, I used my multi-tool and just cut these off. That way I didn't have to worry about cutting any bevels or anything like that. That's why it's super simple. And then I sanded them, rounded them over, and I sanded the whole thing over with 120 grit. So then I sanded these down even on the bottom so it sits nice and flat. And then I took the wood preservative and I just coated the whole thing twice, and that's why it blends together, because the wood preservative is the same color as the pressure treated for the most part. So to keep it uniform, I just went all the way around, because some places were sanded a little more than others. But anyway, that's how you turn an absolute piece of garbage board into something that has some value. Now there's no bottom in it, which you can just cut anything and wedge it down there if you want it in the bottom. But typically what people do is they just grab and that's done. So I don't know what this might be worth in your area. I do know that I've sold lots of them for $60 Canadian. If you had to buy the deck board just to make the thing, it's still profitable just because it's so easy to make, but it's a lot more profitable if you can find the board for free. Okay, what you didn't see when I was building this is when I set up for the second row, I ended up cutting the very first board, I ended up cutting it a little bit short. So I moved the stop block off of camera, of course. I don't know why, but anyway. So I moved the stop block and the other three were perfectly fine. So all I did was I took it basically a half a blade width off the top one and the bottom one just to make sure there's no gap here, because it would have looked bad with the gap. They don't all have to be the same as each other all the way around, but they have to be the same in their sides. You know, a 1/16 of an inch or an 1/8 of an inch isn't going to make that much of a difference. And of course, if you want to alter these dimensions, it's very easy to do. Just start with your top and then work your way down. The bottom of this board is going to be the same as the top of this one. So make it, this just happens to be a 1 foot opening on the top because that's what the pot is. So if you want to make a smaller version, or if you want to make, you know, a single version, which is one I did a few years ago, and then also, and this one is a double hanging basket that I made. Just do whatever you can think of. The idea is just to take the premise of it and make it into whatever customization you want. So links to all the tools that we use are down below. And I will tell you this, if you have a caulking gun that you have to like click off because otherwise it'll keep spewing out the end, definitely look at getting one of those no drip caulking guns because they make a whole lot of difference. I'm so used to using the bad ones, I even try to click the new one off, and of course it don't need to. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do, and like and leave us a comment. And if you want to check out another video, go over there. All right, thanks for watching.